Welcome back. I'm MTG Joe. Today we're going to be continuing our budget build series. So this is around the red-white color pair, so Boros, and we're going to be building towards a feather list, so around Feather the Redeemed. So in case you missed it, we posted earlier this week, I think on Thursday or Friday, the ultra budget version. So basically all uncommons are uncommons minus shock lands and dual lands. So 8 rares in total for that one. Especially in aggro decks, you want to have lands that come into play untapped. So the full 75 list, sideboard and mainboard, all uncommons and commons. This version is the mid-budget where we look to add about 7 to 12 rares and mythics, not including the free cards you get in the starter decks. So with that in the feather list, we're actually able to get pretty much the entirety of the main board of a lot of the popular lists that you're going to be seeing on MTG Goldfish. So the whole point of this deck is around kind of abusing Feather's ability. So how Feather's worded is whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control, instead of that card going to the graveyard, you get to exile that card and bring it back to your hand at the beginning of the next end step. That means you get to reuse these pump spells to kind of keep getting value off it. So this particular version here also plays Dreadhorde Arcanist. So Dreadhorde will basically let you recycle cards in your graveyard, similar effect, and you can exile and cast them again equal to its power. So what you can basically do is play something, exile it with Arcanist, and then it's with Feather out, instead of it going to the graveyard that turn, it's a replacement effect, so you get to keep reusing these same spells over and over again. So in terms of the rares we've added, it's Feather, it's Dreadhorde Arcanist, and then it's Gideon Blackblade as a mythic. So Gideon is really useful in this type of deck. It's a harder way for control decks to remove. It puts pressure on your opponent by either gaining you life, giving you vigilance, or your creature's indestructible. So when you're putting pump spells on them, then it's a little bit more useful. And then its plus ability basically is an exile effect in itself. In terms of the pump spells, we have Defiant Strike, which will draw us a card, so recycling, you can keep drawing cards. Gird for Battle lets us put counters on a bunch of different creatures we have. Sheltering Light is a protection spell for our creatures. And then we have Reckless Rage, which is kind of a pseudo removal that we can keep using. It only deals 2 damage to our creatures, so even if you target, say, 10th District or Dreadhorde, pretty much any of our creatures will survive, but we can deal 4 damage to our opponent's creatures. And then some shocks still. So we're not playing like somewhat sprint. This is one of the lists I kind of found that recently went 5-0. The only difference in the main board really we took out was Direfleet Daredevil. And yeah, I think it was just Direfleet Daredevil out of the list that I took. And then I added some shocks in just to kind of keep the rare count a little bit lower for this particular mid-budget version. In terms of the sideboard, it's easier to show you like this. We have Lava Coil as catch-all removal against like more of your Wild Growth Walker-esque decks, Drakes, Prison Realm for Super Friends, Fiery Cannonade for your more aggro decks. I wanted to try Saheeli in this version. You're playing a lot of like spells that just kind of keep recycling themselves. Actually, you know what? Instead of Saheeli, I think Tibalt's better. We can't. We're gonna have a hard time beating the Dreadhorde decks. Okay, minor tweak there. I'll update the list afterwards in the comments. Um, so here, Tibalt against the life gain strategies makes some tokens. Really good against like White Weenie style decks. The Wanderer is here for like your burn-based matchup. So mono red, if you can get this down early enough, protects yourself. It also prevents our creatures from like being shocked, lightning striked, or lava coil. And then the one Rekindling Phoenix, you get it free in the red-black deck, I believe, anyways. So this is just good because it takes multiple removal spells to get rid of it. The list that I was looking at plays some number of like what's it called now? Deal 3 damage. Deafening Clarions, impose of the Fiery Cannonades. So if you have them, you can play them instead of the Fiery Cannonades. But for this particular version, we're going to go with a little bit more budget to keep around that 10-ish rares or a mythics in that spot. So we'll take it for a spin. I want to foreshadow with, I've never played a feather deck before. This is really, I'm a blue base player, so me playing Boros is kind of outside of my wheelhouse. So I'm probably going to punt. So forgive me in advance. I'm trying to get a demo of the deck, but it is going to be a learning exercise for myself as well. But we'll take it for a spin. So for those of you who are new, tuning into the stream for the first time or checking out the channel, I'm MTG Joe. I try to put out videos almost every day a week, but usually settle around 4 to 5 videos a week. Play everything from budget brews, which are one of my favorites, all the way up to tier 1 lists. I like to brew kind of more the jank side than the kind of cutthroat race to mythic. If you are enjoying the content and want to show your support, subscribing is a free and easy way. All it takes you to do is press that little button in the right hand corner, and it goes a long way to helping me out to continue to build out the channel. So if you could do that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Alrighty, so now on to the games. So this hand does not do anything. This hand equally doesn't do anything. Okay. Well, we might just switch this one up as a quick one. Elf on 1, red source. Alright, so that was a bad demo. I'm just going to concede out of this one. I want to do it fresh. These are supposed to be instructional videos, so I want to actually have value in providing them as opposed to just watching us get mana screwed. It's kind of a poor. The London Mulligan should really remediate a lot of this. We've been playing in Singleton with the London Mulligan and it's felt a lot better. We'll play first. Alright, much better hand here. So the creature we play first will be indicative of what colors they're showing. We'll just have that enter tapped. Okay. So it being green, I'm more okay leading with the Arcanist. Now if they play a red source and lightning strike us, we get punished for the Vanguard. Okay, so this is the Simic deck. Here, I'm just going to put on as much pressure as possible early against these ramp decks. You want to try to get them dead before they can play anything meaningful. Also next turn, ideally what we'd want to do is like Gird for battle both of these, shock the tapped Druid. Okay, well if the opponent doesn't want to do anything, let's do that. It's instant, that's instant. Opponent's thinking about it. I want to land here. Okay, so they play Frilled Mystic here. Okay, we'll have that resolve. We'll shock it. And we're gonna lightning strike the Druid and then take them off their mana. And that's how explosive this deck can be some games. Alright, so against the blue base deck, Nisa is a problem. We want to get rid of that. The Cannonades might be reasonable, especially at instant speed, and we'll bring in the Phoenix. Coming out of this deck, probably drop a Gideon. They might bring in, maybe drop a Feather as well. They might bring in Carl Harpooner. Vanguards are probably going to get blocked pretty heavy on the ground, so we'll cut those. Seems wrong cutting Vanguard. Or, we'll try it out. We'll learn with the deck together. Alrighty. So, gotta mulligan these. We'll keep this. No more lands. So of note, Reckless Rage needs a creature to target, so you can't target without your own. This is the Bant variant. So this could be Bant mid-range, so we might have mis-sideboarded. Fiery Cannonade ruins this board, and of course we're just drawing lands. So they can adapt this. So they got all the mana in the world here. Jeez. So. Also worth. And they got the Frilled Mystic. So they got us. They got us. Did I bring the Lava Coils in this matchup? No. Maybe go down a couple Sheltering Lights and a Gird and bring it in like that. I thought that I still think they're on the Bant mid-range then. I haven't really seen Bant mass manipulation. It's usually Simic. You don't want to dilute your green source. Alright, we got creatures. This deck's a little tricky because you do need creatures to really get a lot of it going. So best would be another land, just to set up kind of Legionnaire turns. They have the elf. Tempted to shock the elf here, but we'll hold off. This draws us a card. So we'll probably do that next turn. So they go Prison Realm. Land would be great. Perfect. So just shock that down. Smack him for 2. That takes him off mana for the turn. Let's see what they do here. Here I think getting Feather down makes more sense. Alright, so they're at 5 mana. They can play Lyra. Which, of course. So here we really just need to kind of take a setup turn. Just try to make this as big as possible. Prison Realm's great. That's our answer for Lyra next turn. Just pass the turn. Recycle that back. So that only makes it 4 power. Okay, so they adapt there. That's actually great for us because it means that we can drop this Prison Realm unimpeded. And that's even better because now we get the Sure Strike as well. So exile Lyra here. actually don't mind Tibalt in case they have more life gain. Target that. Get that bigger. And 1 point of damage left. That meaning any of these Tibalt tokens is basically lethal. So opponent, I think, misplayed there by tapping out. They could have at least held off the adapt. They would have had a blocker at least for one of our things. See what they have. They're thinking about it. They got a lot of mana, but they need to do something with said mana. Wait to see what they come out with. Okay, Hydroid Krasis. X4. Yep, realize they don't have a blocker in place and taking him down. So misjudged on match 2, but is able to take Cool. Thrash Threat. That actually gets played in the Naya version, which we'll be playing as the non-budget version. So we'll run it for another one. Usually what I like to do here is play 2 of the best of 3s, depending on how long the matches go, and then a couple best of 1s, just because people like to see the variance between best of 1 format and best of 3. I usually also do a full write-up once I'm done all of them on the Arena subreddit. Okay, so this is a hand where London Mulligan would probably make it worthwhile, but keep that hand. Probably don't want Gird for battle. I'm probably going to shock myself on one. Okay, so seeing red here, this is a matchup where I'm going to play Adanto Vanguard first. They're likely to have like shocks or stuff like that. The reason we shocked here is red generally is an Izzet deck, so Phoenix most likely. So if they have the Goblin Electromancer on 2, we want to shock it, untap, play Vanguard. Okay, so that takes him off a turn. So pass turn here. Next turn we can drop Arcanist and Sheltering Light, or we might just drop Gideon if they tap out. Gideon might put the most pressure on them. Okay, so opponent missed out there. Let's see if they got a counter. Spell Pierce? Nope. Yeah. So opponent's dead at this turn, pretty much. Lifelink up. This will offset any damage we have to pay to protect our Vanguard. We're fine doing that since we get it back. Alright, so we'll end the turn here. We got Gideon going. Next turn we'll get the Dreadhorde. And then we got Sheltering Light to protect it. We can start recycling shocks as well. so that's pretty sweet. Probably just gonna go same plan as last time. Gideon's also getting to the point where it can serve as removal in a pinch. So opponent's taking 7 this turn. They got Blink of an Eye. A little bit of a tempo swing. Gonna just set up the Arcanist this turn. We can protect it, and then we can start getting like Defiant Strike recycled for value. Okay, so they got that. Also have Feather, which is nice. So here, it's pretty much free value. Like Gird on top. Probably should have attacked. Well, no, then we get it back. We got to do it before attacks. So they can take a block here, but Gird a battle starts getting these pretty big. Why did this get exiled? Oh, Feather puts it on the stack first. Oh, it's kind of a non-bow. You need to have the stuff in the graveyard first, because this is a replacement effect that takes priority. Let's see if it's just a fact that our auto placement's off. So we'll Gird a battle here. See what they do. This also makes it 4 power. Okay, so that just takes precedence. See how they decide to block here. So they Blink of an Eye here. Just setting up as many as I can. Another land's actually not that bad. We get these all back anyways. See how they want to block here. Oh, you know what? That was my mistake. Should have made this indestructible. I'm learning. This is not the cleanest of decks to play. So those an error on our part. We should have made this indestructible. We would have had a better board presence and pretty much had them dead. This turn we can feather and play Defiant Strike and Gird to the battle. See what they do here. Ionize. Interesting. This looks like it's more of a control deck than anything. Let's see what they got. Mr. Cracklers. So this is a cool interaction that we can show. You and you. Get that back. Get that back. And opponent's dead. Alright, so this is a Drake's deck primarily, so we'll bring in the Lava Coils. The Wander could be interesting here in place of maybe a Gideon. Prison Realm may not make sense. Okay, so what do we want to cut here? The Gird battles aren't bad. Maybe cut down 2 of those. Phoenix is pretty good. We cut down one of those. Maybe cut down a Feather. Reckless Rage is also pretty good, but requires us to have a creature, so maybe cut down one of... Let's cut down 2 of these, and the other Gird. Sheltering Light's pretty good. Shock. Maybe go down an Arcanist in this matchup. Actually, I'm probably going to go down 2 Arcanists and bring in a Gideon. They're harder to kill. And they'll bring in Lava Coils. This might just be like a bigger Is It control deck. We'll see what they got this one. Okay, so Wander is actually pretty good at protecting. Actually, don't mind this curve. We don't have pump spells, but that's fine. We have a sweet stained glass Wander. Okay, so they have the Lava Coil's nice as a catch-all removal. Pretty much all their creatures, even if they're playing Phoenix. They usually, if they're playing Phoenix, you're not going to be playing Ionize. Let's do this. The reason we did this is like we lose out the 2 points of damage, but if they want to shock this, it's basically negative card advantage for them. Okay, so they have Enigma Drake. So here I think we just set up a Feather turn. Okay, so they have a Lava Coil. They'll get in for 3 damage here. They might be missing a land drop. No, they hit their land drop. Best turn would be a land so we can Lava Coil and 10th District. This is also notable because we can get rid of Drakes afterwards. Once they have one more instant or sorcery in the graveyard. Not quite. Not quite. Let's do this. Do you have Spell Pierce?
I march into battle as your champion of justice.
Basically doing this here to force them to draw some attention to Gideon while we get to our 4th land. Like, we could Lava Coil it, but I feel like we're not doing much with the turn otherwise. I'd rather play out 2 spells in a turn or get the Wanderer out to kill a Drake if they get it more powerful. Like, they're incentivized now to play spells. Okay, so they shock it. Land would be great. Alright. Gideon saved 7 damage from our face.
Play nice, they said. The more.
So not quite what we want. Let's do it like this. Keep that alive. Land is what we want. Take that out.
I feel like death.
So they'll hit us for 1, but just getting that off the ground. We'll just pass turn. Drop Wanderer next turn. So unless they go absolutely wild and like shock, shock, shock. Yeah, even if they play 3 shocks, it doesn't kill us. It's 14 damage. Okay, so let's force their hand. You're gonna counter this. Okay, so they have the Ionize. Last turn there. Hey, Yanivisur. Sorry, can't pronounce the name. What type of Boros deck are you building? They're hitting us for 6. Let's see what they got, if they have another follow-up Drake. They do. So we're probably in a bad spot here. They shock too. And Pteramander. Okay. so how many do they have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so they have enough to adapt it, which makes it a little tricky. Let's play it safe. Let's see if we can trick him into block. Gutter Snipe might be a little fragile. You might want to try Electrostatic Field. It blocks better as being. It comes down on turn 2, so it's not the same converted mana cost slot. Okay, so they fell for it, which is pretty good. Exile there, and now we got a clean board. Yeah, so Gutter Snipe and Feather both coming down on 3. Also, 2 damage is pretty easy to do. Electrostatic Field's probably a little bit better. I was playing a Is It version, kind of the same idea, but with Ral. And Electrostatic Field was really good in those. Alright, so... They have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just making sure they can adapt. We're pretty much dead if they have removal, so no problem. Check out if you haven't, if you want to get some ideas. It's called, my video is called Electrostatic Ral. I think it's playing a lot of the same kind of ideas of what you're looking for, just it's mainly red, it just slashes blue for Ral on the main board, and then Saheeli. Okay, so he has the crash through. That does give trample, which pushes through some damage. And first strike, 8, so that's 4 damage coming through our way. This one's close. So we're dead to Lightning Strike. It's a little unfortunate that they had a follow-up of 2 more creatures. Alright. You have a counter? If we can dodge a Lava Coil, we should be okay. We need a Gideon, something like that. Are they just dead? Do you have a shock? Okay, so they have a shock. You have a follow-up play? Ah, damn. Boo. They got us. Alright, so... Probably want the Prison Realms. Phoenix seemed okay. Feathers... Probably a little weaker in this matchup. As well... I think the early pressure is somewhat reasonable. They haven't shown Sheltering like is indestructible. Shock's probably not as relevant in this matchup. Go from there. Yeah, running Drakes. Had the Lava Coils we answered. Basically 3 of their 4 Drakes and 2 Pteramanders that last turn. Pretty good curve. 10th Street into Prison Realm for one of their guys, and hopefully land the Wanderer. Playing a weird variant with Ionize in it. Come on, buddy. Have you tapped? Blue mana is encouraging. Means no shock this turn. Gideon gives us a nice option for next turn. So drop Gids next turn, hopefully Wanderer. Get out into the counter spell.
Let me lead the charge into darkness. I believe in you.
Just gain the life here. This matchup feels really much like a race, so whatever life we can gain kind of helps offsets whatever potential life loss from like a big Drake swing. Okay, so we didn't hit the other land.
I will lend you my strength.
So I think we just bait them out this turn. Like, we pretty much have them. Okay, so they had the Ionize. So this game, just like having early pressure, they have a hard time kind of catching up from that. They didn't have an early removal spell for 10th District Legionnaire. So they got Cracklers. But we have Prison Realm. And that should be the game. Gotcha. No more lands. Yeah, opponent calls quits. So stole that one from them. Nice aggressive start. When this deck gets going, it feels really strong. Ooh, another Shalai. I've been hitting a lot of rares recently. Like, I went like a month without hitting a rare, and I've gotten like 4 or 5 in the last like 2-3 days. I'm gonna play a couple best of 1 games for those interested in seeing how it fares there. Hopefully not against mono red. Alright. No pump spells, but Adanto into Gideon. We playing white weenies this game. Sheltering Light will be a nice pump spell. Mono blue. Kind of hide the fact we are actually splashing red. Let's see if Merfolk Trickster. Haven't seen much mono blue recently. Okay, just Trickster me. So this turn's a little interesting. I think we just throw out a feather after attacks. let that get countered. Yeah. We have 2 feathers in hand. Because what I'd like to do next turn is with Gideon out. And then we can Reckless Rage Gideon or even Feather our Gideon with Feather. So here we can pay 4 life. Yeah, I think we do that. We do that this game. Because I want to get this off because it turns off Wizard's Retort. Okay, so they have Dive Down. Now if they have Spell Pierce, we get hit hard. Okay, so they don't. That's good.
Prime day for justice. Your light will cleave the darkness.
Then we basically gain the life back that we paid. When Mono Blue doesn't have Curious Obsession out, it's a lot harder for them to win. Okay, so they have a Djinn. Okay, they Obsession up. Of note, Obsession is player, not Planeswalkers, so they're kind of forced into attacking me. They'll draw a card here. So I'll play out a Feather. Give it lifelink.
Believe in you, friend.
So we're gonna Defiant Strike once they declare blockers. Try to catch them there. Okay, you can do that if you'd like. We get to basically get a card draw out of this for free. 10th District's nice, gives us something else for next turn. Again, now they're inclined to attack Mr. Gideon. Oh, Entrancing Melodies. They're mainboarding that now? Well, that's unfortunate.
Not again.
So here we'll see how they block and then decide what we use Defiant Strike on. Okay, that's good for us. So we can actually, whenever we cast a spell that targets, so that's 3, we can shock it. No, that doesn't really think we need something else here. Ooh, Sheltering Light. That does the trick. Do I want another Sheltering Light is the question. Probably. Just force through damage. They're kind of forced to hold stuff. Yeah, Yinvisor. You usually see that on the sideboard a lot of times with these decks. So they can... Oh, they adapt it now. But I guess because in 1-1, like 1 versus 1, they might be playing one copy of Melody. They hit us for 8 here. I think we're a little too slow, unfortunately. They're just going to hit us for 8 again next turn. Here... Just go Legionnaire. Yeah, let's try it out. I think we're dead regardless. So we're keeping this back because we need to block here. They can just attack us in for 1. Oh no, they got us. Trickster does it. Alright, so got out-tempoed there. The fact that they were able to deal with our board kind of hurts us. We'll run one more, see how it goes. Alrighty, let's see what we got. No creatures. Gotta flip that back. This hand's a little loose, but we'll run it. This hand's really rough against mono red. Okay, don't mind seeing black there. They're not seeing too much. Well, this is best of 1, so Moment of Cravings might not be unheard of. They thought erasure us. Defiant Strike's probably the choice. Yeah, we're probably dead this game. Any deck with heavy amounts of removal, like an Esper deck, is going to pose a problem. This kind of takes our card draw. Yeah, that would have been nice had we gotten some red sources. There's no point in really doing this at this point. It doesn't get around Moment of Craving. It's kind of weak to Fairy Bounce. It's fine, we'll pay the life. So we'll keep putting our pressure on. They will eventually have to find a way to kill this. And Cry is the way it kills it. I'm doing this only because we need to find a red source. Mainboard Cry is a little rough. Yeah, we lost this one. We'll do one more quick, because that one wasn't really a match. So this is probably why this deck isn't considered tier 1. It can win out of nowhere, but it really kind of falls apart if you don't have one of your kind of creature engines going. The green splash version, which we'll play for the non-budget, it plays like Gruul Spellbreaker and some like Thrash Threat. So Thrash can be a pump spell. Threat can be just like a 4/4, I think, body. So it kind of deals with the wrong half situation. And then Gruul Spellbreaker having hexproof allows us to kind of overcommit in terms of our pump spells. Sorry if you could hear my dog snoring in the background. She's decided to take up residency on the couch directly behind me and is asleep like a log. Can't keep that hand. Can't keep this hand. Alright, we'll try it out. Okay, a little scary seeing red source on one. Our deck's probably going to get absolutely trucked by mono red. The fact it's so easy to kill our creatures. So I think if they kill it, then we just call this one quits. Yeah. Alright, one more quick one. I don't want to call best of one just yet a less than stellar result compared to best of three, but I think just the meta availability. Mono red and Esper are probably the two most prevalent decks in best of one, which have great matchups against us, being able to just kill whatever threat we play. What this deck preys on is what we saw is like those Drake matchups, those like ramp decks that kind of dirtle, and you just smash them on like turn 4 for a bunch of damage. That's what we want to kind of target. Yeah, we'll keep this hand. Okay, so they're on red, so I'm going to... It's a little painful, but I think shocking here is correct. Hey Joy Center, how's it going? We're actually almost wrapping up, but we've been streaming for about an hour, so you can check out the full replay right after. I think I'm gonna hold off 10th District right now and use the shock. For those of you who missed as well, we played 2 different singleton lists this morning. We did a Dimir control deck and then a Abzan Aristocrats. They'll hit us there. Just shock the Pyromancer. Okay, so backup one's good here. I'll save that for next turn. Just pass turn. I'm gonna Defiant Strike if need be on it. If they try to like shock it. Next turn we can Gird a battle. Lightning Strike. Yeah, I think we do it anyways. Adanto. No, I probably want a feather. Or another land. Okay, so we have Gids for next turn. It's So we're just doing this to give it to 4. Yeah, we'll keep Feather on top. So here, I'm going to do it because they can get a haste creature out. I'm not going to block though, because then it turns on like a lightning strike. Okay, Viashino's fine. They could still have Wizard's Lightning and sack the Firebrand. Light up the stage in Chandra. Chandra is quite terrible to see at this point. Might have to go on the Gideon plan. We'll attack in here. Sack and then hit us for 1, which is good because that means if they draw a lightning strike, it's not going to do anything to... Because they're incentivized to play out... We'll do this because we can Reckless Rage the Steamkin. Then maybe get some Defiant Strike card draw going. I'm going to take the 2 damage. They'll probably play out Chandra, and unfortunately we're going to have to just ignore it and try to kill them as fast as possible.
I knew you needed my help. Let's light it up.
Wow, that's actually perfect. So here we go Gideon.
I will defend the weak at every opportunity.
Give it lifelink.
Share my light.
Reckless Rage, get it out of the way. And that just gains us a bunch of life back. Yeah, got him. Yep. Alright. Bet mono red. That one's an accomplishment. Alright, that takes us for the day. Thanks for all those who dropped in to watch live. You can catch any of the replay you missed on the channel. I'm going to wrap it up for today. Got to run some errands around the house. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And you can catch any of my replays on the channel. If you have any questions about anything we played, either today or at any time, feel free to drop a comment and we'll be able to help out. Have a good day otherwise, and I'll try to be back tomorrow. We'll wrap up this series with the Naya version, and then I'll have the full write-up on Reddit, the Arena subreddit. Have a good one, everyone.